everyone, welcome to Dining at Tiffany's. In the last video, we made a really good Italian pasta, and today we're going to be making zuppa toscana, which is a soup that's gonna pair so well with that pasta that we made last week, so you could make a whole meal for you and your family and friends to share. Both of these recipes are going to be on my website at diningattiffany's.com, so please check that out. So zuppa toscana is one of my very favorite soups. I really love eating out and trying new foods, but sometimes it can get me feeling kind of heavy and sluggish from eating a lot. So at home, I try to cook a little bit healthy. Zuppa toscana is a Tuscan kale, sausage, and potato soup. And I add kale to this because it's a really great vegetable. It's a superfood. That means it has a lot of vitamins and proteins, very good for you. But for some people, when you try kale for the first time, it can be a little bit bitter, a little bit different for them. So I like to add it to dishes that are really hearty and flavorful, like this one. So this one, it has bacon in it for flavor. It has some Italian sausage in it for flavor. So the kale is gonna work really nicely in there. It'll soak up all of those flavors. It'll pair well with the potatoes and the garlic, and it's gonna be very good while being good for you. So the recipes for this whole meal is gonna be on my website at diningattiffany's.com. So let's get started making that soup.
Just like I never had one. Yeah, I'm with it, girl. If you with it, girl, I wanna see how you kick.
So whenever I cook, I like to start by chopping all of the veggies first. And so like most of the meals that I make, I start with garlic. To get the most flavor out of the garlic, what you have to do first is smash it. So you just take the side of your knife and this part of your hand, and then you smash. You just go 1, 2, 3. Right? Show them who's boss. Yeah, so you just cut it lengthwise first, flip it around, and then you can cut them into those really small pieces. Next we're gonna do the onion. I hope I don't cry. So you just cut off the sides like that. And then you just kind of carefully cut down like that. So you can just peel off that outer layer of skin. There you go. You just cut it in half this way, so you'll see you cut it straight down through the, all the little rings there. And then to dice it, this is a nice little trick. You kind of just follow the natural cut of the onion and use that to your advantage. So we're gonna cut a few strips through like so. Then also very carefully, you're gonna cut it horizontally this way. So make sure your hands are way up there. You curl them in. And that will let you get a nice dice on your onions really easily. Get nice little pieces. And the last piece like that, and now we have some nice diced onions, really easy. My eyes. Okay. Oh, I think I'm gonna start crying. Sometimes in life, it hurts. But you come out stronger after, right? All right, so next we're gonna cut the kale and we're gonna add it into the soup at the very end, but I just like to cut it so it's ready for later. You cut off the stems. You don't really need those parts. And then what we'll do is we're going to try to cut them into kind of bite-sized pieces so it goes really nicely in the soup. So really easy. Just cut through this way. And then into like a little bit smaller than 1-inch square pieces. Those will go really nicely in the soup at the end. Next I'm gonna do the potatoes. I like to do these last because I like to do kind of cleaner, fresh stuff first, and sometimes the potato can have some residue, so I like to do it last on my cutting board. So in the soup we're gonna cut little circles of potatoes, little slices. So I like to start by cutting it down the middle. And I actually leave the skin on. There's some good, I think, like fiber in there for you. And also in the soup, I feel like it gives it a nice little outline, and it just looks really pretty in the soup. So try to cut them pretty thinly, like that. And I'm using you can do a russet potato or an Idaho potato. I don't really like to use the red potatoes in these ones. It just tastes better with this kind. Okay, so now that we've got all of our vegetables chopped, we've got our little potato mountain right here, our onions, our garlic, and our kale, we're gonna start cutting the meat. Like I said, I like to do the vegetables first and just wipe off my cutting board and do the meat. It's a lot cleaner that way, and you want to keep everything safe and clean when you're cooking, right? Next, we're going to cut up this bacon. It smells really good. All that bacon is so salty. I actually don't add any extra salt to my soup. We're just gonna cut it into small pieces. So just kind of stack them all together, and then we're just gonna cut it away. So, and you want to get a nice natural bacon. I used to work at UCSD in the main student union, and I worked on the 3rd floor, and I was above like Burger King or something, and every morning they would be cooking that really cheap bacon, and I literally couldn't eat bacon all throughout college just because I couldn't handle the smell. Cool. Okay, so our bacon is prepped and ready. It's gonna be nice little pieces that are gonna go all throughout it. So if you don't eat bacon, you know, maybe you had a traumatizing experience like I did, you can actually leave it out. We're adding sausage to this as well, so that will add some flavor. You can do turkey bacon instead of the pork, and I believe there's something called Fakin out there, but I've never tried it. I don't know. You can try it. Tell me how it goes. You can put that in here as well. All right, so this is the part where the sausage comes in for this sausage, potato, and kale soup. And so you're gonna buy an Italian sausage. It comes in hot or mild, so it's up to you if you like spicy or not. I like it hot. And they come in this casing. So what we're gonna do is take it out of that casing. So you kind of cut a little slit in there. And just be careful not to cut it all the way through and cut your hand off. That wouldn't be fun. And so you do a little slit, and our pot here is at about a medium-high heat, and I just put it right into there. So you start peeling it off, and as you can see, it's basically just ground meat in there. So sometimes they will fight you a little bit, but just squeeze it out and get rid of that skin. So it's already starting to sizzle really good. I love using Italian sausage when I cook because they put a lot of herbs and flavors in there, so without a lot of effort on your part, you're gonna get a really yummy, flavorful dish. And so you want it at a medium-high heat, so then it starts to sizzle right when it hits the pan. And the other great part about cooking with sausage and bacon is not only do you not have to add any salt, but I actually don't add any oil when I cook because they already have oil in them, and that's what we're going to use to cook out the rest of the ingredients. Just gonna get it out there. And it's okay if it sticks at the bottom. That's just gonna give you a lot of good flavor that the soup is going to pick up. You can see some parts starting to get done already. You want it to turn from pink to brown. This will probably take about 3 to 4 minutes to get it nice and browned. So I make this dish all the time, especially when I have friends or family visiting or coming over. It's really easy. It doesn't have very many ingredients, and it's definitely a crowd pleaser. Every time I make it, everyone's always asking for more. Actually, if you're ever eating at my place, I get pretty offended if people don't get seconds because I feel like it means they don't like my food. So yeah, this one always works. They always get seconds, sometimes thirds. So you should definitely try making this at home. It's really good. Do this carefully. Sometimes I can get a little bit clumsy, so just be a little careful. I make it a little awkward right now, I'm sorry, but so yeah. I swear I work out. Not really, I'm probably like shaking right now, right? So we're just gonna take this out and put it aside. I'm gonna put this sausage aside, so as you can see, it's nice and brown. You can see it has a nice color on it. We're going to turn it back on to medium-high heat in that same pan. Like I said, a lot of really good flavors are going to develop here in your soup pot. Take the bacon and just dump it right in. Yeah, bacon's a really good thing to have on hand because you could use it in a lot of different dishes. You don't have to deal with like prepping a lot of different kinds of meat. It's just ready, easy to use, and full of flavor. Once you see it to get kind of that like brown color on there, you know that it's almost ready. And this bacon, we don't have to cook it all the way through like we did the sausage because the bacon's gonna hang out all throughout creating the whole soup, so it'll get cooked. Promise. Okay, so now that we have, you can already see that there's some oil at the bottom of the pan there for us. And we're gonna move it aside a little bit. and get ready to add our veggies. Going to add the onion, and then we're gonna add the garlic. And so since we cut the garlic really small, we really want to give it a little bed, a little buffer before we put in the garlic so it doesn't burn. Because garlic is delicious and we don't want it to burn. That would be really sad. Let the onions hang out there for a little bit, and then we'll turn them. Oh yes. I'm getting really excited. I don't know if you're getting really excited. I'm getting excited, and we've only thrown like 3 ingredients in there. We're gonna add garlic, my favorite part. Okay, so we're gonna put the garlic in there. Yeah, so once you get the garlic in there, you wanna mix it really fast. Let him join his friends so then he doesn't get burned. And at this point, you can add some pepper. Like I said, you don't have to add any salt because there's bacon already and that sausage, but I always like to add freshly ground pepper to what I make. It's always good to add flavor, but you don't always have to do it with salt. Yeah, the potatoes, I love it with the sausage. It just makes such a hearty soup. You know, everyone loves their kind of meat and potatoes, you know, like I'm always kind of craving potatoes in all forms. I love French fries so much. And also the potato works really well in soup because as it cooks, it kind of releases some of its starch and it makes it a little bit thicker, a little bit heartier, a lot more filling and comforting. Everyone's going to love the soup that you make. Once you let it just mix in there briefly, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, we're going to add the broth to it. And again, this is a really easy recipe. I just use ready-made chicken broth. I just try to get the one that's more natural, less of a salt content. And you just dump it right in there. And after you do the first container, then this is a good time to kind of remember that brown stuff at the bottom of the pan? I like to kind of just kind of scrape it off carefully. It's good to use, you know, either a wooden or if you're like me, a coconut spatula because it doesn't damage the bottom of your pan as much. Okay, so once you do that, you're gonna add more chicken broth. And so I also love this recipe because it can feed a ton of people. Actually, every time I cook, like it can feed at least like 6 to 8 people plus leftovers. I think that's just how I learned how to cook because my mom came from a giant family of 11 brothers and sisters, so they always had to make a lot of food. After I add the broth, I also like to add some water to kind of dilute it because it can be really salty. It can be a little bit too intense of a flavor, so I add some water. And so I just take the same container to measure it, and I just fill it about 3/4 to almost the top, depending on how you like it. I like about 3/4. So I'm just gonna fill this with water and then put it right in here. I'm going to just add that right into the soup. Alright, so once you've added the broth and the water, just give it a little stir. Right now we're at like about a medium-high heat. We're gonna turn it up all the way to high heat. And basically we're just trying to cook the potatoes until they're soft, so about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, so let's go check on the soup. So as we can see, it's getting pretty bubbly here. You really want it to get to a boil, but at this point we can stir it up a little bit. The potatoes are getting a little bit more clear. That means they're getting soft, but we're gonna give this a few more minutes. So as we're checking on the soup, one tip that you can do is just use a fork. So just lift up one of the potatoes, maybe 2, and then just kind of prick it with a fork so you can feel how hard it is. See how it's not piercing completely through? That means it's not ready yet. Okay, I think it's time now. So as you can see, we have it boiling now. And like I said, you test it with the fork, and we're gonna just poke it and see if it goes through. And it does, nice and easy. So that means that your potatoes are ready. It smells really good in here. My glasses are fogging up. Like, getting real. So remember our sausage from earlier, nice and browned, that we put aside, and we're gonna put them right back in there. And the nice thing about this is, you know, depending on how much you have, you could add as much sausage and bacon as you like. If you like more sausage and bacon, then maybe put in 1 more link, vice versa. It's really up to you, however you like your food. For me, I don't usually cook off of a recipe. I kind of cook off of just what I crave, or, you know, what vegetable I saw at the farmer's market that looks good and how can I incorporate that. So really just cook what you think tastes good. I mean, that's really what it's about, right? Just feeding yourself, feeding others, and you know, just having a good time with your food. The next part is how we make the soup a little bit creamy. If you're lactose intolerant, you don't have to add it, but I like to add a splash of milk or heavy cream into this soup. It will make it just really nice and yummy. So I just add a splash or two, so just like splash, splash. And you know what, I think we're gonna add a little bit more. I'm in a creamy mood today. Splash. And again, this recipe will be on my website at diningatiffany's.com, so if you miss any steps in this video, you can always go back and look at the recipe, or just ask me any questions. Our lovely, beautiful kale. And so you just add that right in there, and we add it at the end because with vegetables, I like them to still kind of have a little bit of a bite to them, so that's why I put it in last. So we're still at medium heat. And we're just gonna mix it all the way through. And again, the kale, so you kind of see the curly shape of the kale, right? And you could use any kind of kale that you find at the store or the farmer's market. But since it has all these little wrinkles and layers, it's gonna pick up all the flavors of the soup. You can already see it kind of grabbing the sausage and the garlic and everything. It's gonna be very good. We're getting our veggies in and we're eating delicious, delicious food. This zuppa toscana is really great since it is really hearty with the meat, the potatoes, and the vegetables. You can actually serve this as a main dish, but you can also serve it as a full meal. You know, if you make that pasta from the other episode, which you really should, that'll go really great. All the flavors kind of match each other, and you have yourself a full meal that you can serve for you and your friends and have a really great time eating it and enjoying it. Oh, it's so good. I love it. I've been so excited to try this. Yeah, you can kind of taste all of that bacon flavor, the sausage, the kale is really good in there with the potatoes as well. I can't wait for you to try this at home. So good. So the recipe for the zuppa toscana is on my website at diningatiffany's.com, and please remember to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be posting new recipes, new delicious food every week that I can't wait for you to try. All right, thanks. See you next time.